And now another short talk from Silvan. Welcome, Silvan. Need to... Second. Stage is yours.
Hello. I hope everyone's still awake, even though it's pretty hot. So, brief summary, who we are. I think the only thing that is new is I moved to Finland because it's way too hot here. So I relocated. Let me shortly talk about sponsorships. Why do we do sponsorships? We're, of course, talking about Lear sponsorships. How many do we do? It's too many. It's hundreds of them in the meantime. We mostly give out ASNs and some PI space. Some of the people don't have the money for PI. They get the PA. Why do we do that? I believe the only way to get IPv6 done is if we train the next generation. I have given up on any other method. And our whole thing exploded really much since Hurricane doesn't give out tunnels anymore. Since then we have, I would say, a request of between 5 and 10 per week. So we have an AS set. This AS set contains paying customers and it also contains a few free customers. I think everyone in here, do you guys know the danger of AS sets? Raise your hand. Okay, so there's a few that don't know. Good. So one of the issues is if you have an AS set that contains another AS set, everyone can inject anything into your AS set, including people you don't want in there. At one point we realized that, so we went ahead and said for free transit, hey, we don't accept AS sets anymore. This is a general rule of thumb. If you're not a transit provider, you're not going to get a AS set filtered session with us, even if you pay us. We also set fairly strict prefix limit. That means even if you have something set like 5,000 on PeeringDB and we see that you originate 2 prefixes, we'll set it to 4 and not to 5,000. We also see our export limits, they have been fairly high. That's because sometimes we have people who fail over to us. So you need to be careful with that. You should also set export limits where you can. Also things to prevent stuff go wrong. We get upstreamed unintentionally by people, I would say about every half a day at least once. Or you have to write to them, hey guys, why are you leaking us? Every time it's someone who doesn't know what PGP communities are for and if you do transit sessions. So these are a bit of the things we've already tried to do to optimize, not to screw up. But we're talking about a screw up talk. So one day in the ticket system, we get a phone call from a client, hey, our phone calls, the quality went to shit. At that time, I was still running YOS. It was in Frankfurt. I went to the router. I noticed, hey, that CPU load is fairly high. And the S-Flow daemon runs fairly high. That's odd. Well, let's kill it. Somehow the customer reports, yeah, now the phone call was good. I called them back immediately. Phone call quality was great. And I was like, yay, crisis averted. It was just some daemon going wrong. Then we get a ticket. For the people who can't read it, SFDCC, Cloudflare, openfactory, subnet leak out of DKIX Munich. That's not a ticket you want to read. So, by the way, the company is called Institute for Pyrotechnical Cleaning, so of course we have lots of fires. So, what went wrong? Salesforce says we announced to them a route to Cloudflare. Well, last time I've checked, I wasn't the service provider for Cloudflare. Also, we don't have any manual session with them, at least not on DKIX Munich. So I was like, how the heck does this even happen? The peering session is through a route server, so what the hell is going on? Also, why doesn't the route server filter this? So we raised a ticket to DKIX at that time. Oh, that's a different font here. The font's missing on this, so the layout is a bit screwed up. So the first thing we check on our AS set, and yes, indeed, Cloudflare's there. Shout out to the people at IR Explorer, otherwise I would not have been able to look through it. I think it was actually even Ruben who managed to get that the AS set expanded because it was huge at that point in time. And yeah, I find it 4 level down. It was us, then it was Ruben, then it was their customer, and then one of these their customers. So actually, it was in our AS set. Well, there's people who are starting fresh in this industry. They believe they have to put their peerings into the AS set. There's still people, as of now, who have a AS set called AS peering, and then they put all their peers into it. You once copy-paste the wrong thing, stuff goes wrong. Okay, so, I mean, fine, it's wrong in the AS set. That means that we have found one fire, but I'm pretty sure it's smoldering on the other one as well. So we go on with the navigation. Hey, we have an export filter. I mean, we have a route map. We have a static filter list where our own write blocks, we just let them through because I don't tag them with a community. Could be done elsewhere, but that's what it is. And then I have a customer community for customer routes, and that's pretty much all we put out. So how the heck did Cloudflare get into that? We don't learn that from a downstream. We filter our downstreams. Also, guess why we don't do automated filter updates or did not do that at that time? That's exactly why. And no update was done that way. So we go on and we see the problem. So ViOS at that point in time, we were running on a 1.2 branch, and our configuration was approximately 1 megabyte in size. That's fairly large on ViOS. It took, if I remember right, several minutes to half an hour to load the config. Back in the day when we had the Edge routers with a bit smaller configuration, Edge Router Pro took an hour and a half to load the config. When you commit, you literally go and eat lunch on the ViOS. So it was that bad. And because it was that bad, the config goes out of sync, the config gets lost, and you have to start injecting configuration in by hand into the configuration file on the bottom. And then you reboot the router, which then again takes forever to load. Yeah, and someone actually repaired that, and the issue was the route map wasn't copied full into this. Guess what was missing? Well, it's a big dumper sire because, well, we have a route map. This route map goes into UFR. And from what I understand, if you just have a route map and you do not have any explicit deny, then it gets accepted. And at the end of our route map and the end of our macro, we should have had a deny, which, well, of course, when you scroll down and you have config, you lost it somewhere. So that's fuck up number 2. And the bad thing is nobody noticed because we put in the route map. Well, everything works. So how do you suspect something goes wrong? And it was literally done the night before by someone who was like volunteering, hey, I'm going to fix this overnight and reboot. So yeah, I would say presidential dumpster fire. And then he goes on, and I'm like, okay, fine. We have a screwed up route map. We have a fuck up. I have a broken AS set. But why did the route server accept that? Because again, remember in the beginning I said we don't have a session with DKX Munich. With Salesforce. We only have a session with DKX Munich route server. Well, unfortunately, there was another ISP involved in this. Of course, it was a path which included Hurricane Electric, because Hurricane Electric does not have the Never Via route server set. Because they appear on the route server. So with regards to AS path filtering, if I look at templates, and I've looked at more templates in the meantime because I have done a lot of IXP work. Well, the first ASN in the path gets verified sometimes, and then the last AS in the path gets verified because that needs to be the originating, but nobody verifies what's actually in the middle. So of course, because I announced a path with my ASN as the first one, that's valid. And the last one would have been valid. So yeah. One of the interesting things which I still believe something should be fixed is the max prefix limit. Well, route servers should shut and not kill it. In my opinion, a route server, when you leak a full table or almost try to leak a full table, they should shut your session so you actually notice something going wrong. Behavior of the route server was the session stayed up. They just filtered the route except the one which was valid because it was in our AS set and the plausibility check of it failed. So yeah, still dumpster fire. On my point of view, how to prevent this? again, do not fuck up. I don't believe that's a prevention strategy because all of us fuck up. So the question is possibility. Should Hurricane Electric, for example, ever be on a path in the middle? I don't think so. It's probably one of those corner cases you can filter for. I also believe the concept of AS sets is inherently flawed, but how do you optimize it? Nobody else uses any other thing like AS cone or anything. So one of my coworkers is now on a master thesis because there's machine learning in everything. You've heard it. Here's your word, machine learning, for the bingo sheet. What if you could use historical data, also relationship between ISPs to filter if a certain path is actually plausible or not, and then put down an alert? Because we all know there's those weird corner cases, for example, of this Hungarian ISP, which is actually an Estonian-owned company, which is actually owned by the Iranian government, which is a front for the Iranian research network to purchase transit, and all those corner cases need to be put into a data set. So yeah, that's what we're currently working on. This is our fuck up and how it happened. And after all the dumpster fires, here's some more positive. Here's my pup. Questions? If we still have time, because we're behind schedule.
Thank you, Silvan. Any questions to these fuck-ups? Okay. No? Then thank you very much, Silvan.